Alright, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to remove the subframe, and first step in doing that is I want to come around and I want to remove this fuse box. And what you'll need is you need a pair of pliers. You need a pair of pliers, you need a 7mm socket, and you'll need a wrench, preferably a ratchet wrench. That way you can get in there easily and pull the bolts off to hold that on there. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove this ECU. Make sure your battery's been disconnected before you do this. You don't want to short anything out. Go ahead and remove that. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to remove this water hose, which I've already kind of disconnected, so I can just pull it off. Probably should remove that first so you don't get any water in your ECU. And go ahead and pull the ECU out. So after you've removed your ECU, go ahead and take off your fuse box top. Pretty simple procedure. And then you're going to take a millimeter and you're going to unscrew these. And there's quite a few of those, so bear with me. Pull both these power cables. Move them out of the way. Alright. Now, go ahead and see if we can remove this. Oh, we need a 10mm for that. Just loosen it up with this real quick. It's very simple. This actually takes a 10mm. Couple tabs you pull on the side here to release it. There you go. And if you didn't know, this is actually the wire for your power steering, in case you didn't know that. Gotta remove that. We'll do that in a second. Need a screwdriver for that. Come on, baby. There we go. Almost not came loose. Make sure those were all the way loose before we pull them out. There you go. That's the fuse box. It comes out that easy. Go ahead and stick this right here so you don't lose it. Put this back on here. Don't lose that. Put this screw. Once you pull this off, put that screw on there. Remove these connectors from the box. Just pop right out. And that's it. Comes right out. That's how you remove your fuse box. And the reason why you remove this fuse box is because when you go to pull the transmission, you're going to need it out of the way, because you have to move these cords, these connectors out of the way. And then you can see this is the mounts that's holding up your transmission. which you're going to have to replace this particular mount anyway when you go and put that 6-speed mount in there. And there's also your shift cables down here that need to be removed too, but we'll remove those later. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and set up this tool right here, which is going to allow us to hold the engine up while we're removing the subframe, so the engine and transmission won't fall out of the bottom of the car. Okay, now that we've got this engine support bar on, which you can get at Harbor Freight if you want to buy one, I think they're only like 80 bucks. That'll help us when we need to lower the back of the engine down when we're going to put take the transmission off and put the new one on. I also removed the charge pipe over the top of the engine because it was in the way. So you can do that. What we'll go ahead and do is get started underneath, and I'll show you what needs to be removed in order to get the subframe off. Alright, I'm underneath the car now. You can see the engine right there, and as you go towards the back of the car, there's the one bolt there for a subframe bolt. You have the 3 bolts right there that connect to your motor mount. Then you have the other bolt that you can see back there. That is the one that you can disconnect for the other back part of the subframe. You have this one up front that you disconnect. You also have these 2 bolts that connect to the radiator support, and you come along the side here and you have these 2 bolts that connect on the other side of your radiator support. And you also might have to remove this charge pipe because you've got to lower the engine down, and with that thing connected, you might smash that, maybe not, with the, I don't remember, with the subframe off. And also I'm going to show you one more thing. See that steering knuckle up there? There's one bolt you have to remove, and then you can go ahead and slide this thing off. But oh, there's also this motor mount right here that needs to be removed. And that's pretty much the one in the front, the very front of the engine, you won't want to remove. You don't need to. Oh yeah, and then you've got the one up here in the top, which I'll show you from the top end, that you have to remove in order to get the transmission down. But in order to remove the subframe, you don't want to remove the transmission mount on top, because you want it to go ahead and help hold the transmission while you're taking off the subframe. And that's it. Okay, the first bolt we're going to remove is going to be the one that holds on your steering knuckle. So it takes a 1/2 inch or 13 millimeter to remove that. driver's support bracket, and it takes a 13mm. I'm going to go ahead and do the other side now. Okay, I've loosened all 4 of the bolts down on the bottom that hold the subframe. You want to make sure that you loosen those up, and then don't take them all the way out, and then you want to make sure that this steering knuckle right here is loose. So you want to pound on that a little bit to make sure it's loose before you try to take the subframe off. You don't want to pull the steering knuckle down with it when you remove it. So you can see all of my bolts are loose now. I've loosened them. One's over there and the one up front. So you might want to have someone help you, because it's kind of it's a heavy subframe. You either have a jack or some jack stands to help you take it down. You can do it by yourself. I've done it before by myself, but try to get some help. That'd be the best way to do it. Alright, as you can see, I've got the subframe removed now. I went ahead and put this jack stand underneath the engine just in case. You don't remove the front mount, so it's being held up by the front mount. You don't want to remove that. You can also hook that up to that bar, what's holding the engine up right now. I just wanted to show you what it looks like under here once you get that subframe out, so it's easy access to the transmission. And I wanted to show you the subframe here. That's what it looks like when it's completely out. You still have the rack and pinion on there, and the sway bar and control arms, and you leave those on there unless you want to replace them. For me, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to replace those idler arms with solid mount, because I'm getting a little bit of a movement in here. I hope that it will help with the torque steer. Alright, we appreciate you guys watching. The next video we'll be doing a review on this car. It's my son's car. It has a 6-speed in it already. He'll be going over that with you and tell you what options he's got. We've also got some videos at the drags racing a ZL1 Camaro and a Mustang. He's also got some video on his GSS XR 600, his Suzuki that he was racing. So look forward to showing you that, and we appreciate you watching. Hopefully this video helped you and further along with your F40 6-speed conversion. And we sure appreciate it if you like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you next time.